Welcome friends, here is one of my catch-up guitars, and chances are I've already filmed a or an appraisal for this guitar, but if it's not up to scratch I'm going to restart the video here. If I do decide to keep the first prequel or the first appraisal part, then this bit won't make any sense, but I'm going to repeat what I said before anyway. So, lovely guitar in. It is a Fender Telecaster, a Fender Jim Root Telecaster. I love this model of guitar. If I was getting a heavy guitar for heavy metal, this would probably be it. And it's already got the strings off, and that's because I already appraised this before, but because of a tool malfunction I decided I couldn't continue with the work, and in the meantime that meant I couldn't work for 3 weeks. I've had to order new tools, and we've done all that, and I've been working, I've been catching up, and this is one of the last few of the catch-up guitars. So I now have tools I can trust. I'm just going to make sure the neck is straight, and I'm going to check the frets on this because I know it needs a fret level. The thing is, my old fret rocker became unreliable, so I've gone and bought more, and I've bought them from Stumac, I bought them from Guitar Tools International, and I've bought them from GMI, and my favourite one at the moment is GMI. That is not tightening, it's not doing anything. I may have a wrong Allen key in there, so let's go and see what's what. So I'm going to turn the camera down onto the guitar because this is what it's about. This is going to be a no messing about video. I am not going to explain everything I've already explained. Are we good there? Seems pretty good. So I already know it needs a fret level. The strings are off because we knew that anyway. But let's have a little look, try and find out what Allen key wrench we need for that. Now, it being a Fender, it's going to be more than likely an imperial size. Standard American Fender is 1/8. We can go up to anything to 7/32, so if it's Mexican. Japanese, again, a different size. So let's go with this great big fat one here. Great big fat one, it's exactly what it is. It's the Mexican size. I think that is 3/16, is it? Something close to that. Anyway, there you go. Just need to loosen it off a little because it's got a little bit of down curve at the back end there. Sometimes I do that in case if I can't get the neck properly straight. So let me have a look. Gosh darn, that is straight. That is what I call player straight. I'm going to shine a light just behind there. I'm not going to set the camera up over there and do it so you can see. You can't see anything anyway when I shine a light behind it. Okay, showing a little bit of light at this end. Showing no light in the middle at all. Showing a little bit of light there. Now, I've explained this many times. It's very, very rare you get a guitar with a perfectly straight neck. They normally go a bit umpty back camel, a bit up and down, a bit Loch Ness Monster. And this is one of those cases, only by a very tiny fraction. But what I do in that case is I do a mean average, I get it as straight as I can, or what I consider to be straight, and then what I'll be doing is I will be levelling across the frets, not across the fingerboard. As I've mentioned many times before, again, your playing surface is not the fingerboard, which many people would think that. Your playing surface is actually the top of the frets. So as long as we get the neck as straight as we can, and then we level the frets, we're going to have a level playing field, aren't we? Or a level playing surface. I wish that didn't fall over like that. Silly thing. Okay, so let's have a look at the frets. Again, brand new fret rocker from GMI, most precision one I've ever owned out of all the big companies, including Stumac. GMI, I've had flattest one. Right, here we go. So we do have high frets, and in the areas I marked off earlier. Just a little bit on that one. So we have tiny bit on there. We have about, so far we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 high frets. If I can keep it down to 5, I may be able to do a special rate. There's 6, so we're looking at about 7. I know there's one at the end. That's 7. Okay, so we are going to do a complete fret level. Well, 8 high frets. We are going to do a lot. Now, because there's a knot on there, I don't want to remove a knot because it's too much faffing about. So what I'm going to do is I have a little bridging system there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get my straight edge on the frets so I can see the gaps. I have new tools and I've not messed about and I've not spared any expense. It's a Veritas precision straight edge. This is proper precision straight edge. I don't know what the measurement is, but it's really very, very flat. And this will give me a precise reading across the frets, and I'll see if there's any gaps under frets. And there will be gaps under frets because we do have some high ones. Okay, very small amounts, but yeah, we have high frets. I'm going to check each side. Doesn't need a great deal of work, but the work is going to need doing. So let's see where we are. Okay, so I'm not going to remove a nut. What I'm going to do is I have a little tool that acts as a bridge or a ramp, and it works really rather well. And I'm going to just set it up ready. I have it put aside, and there you go. And it's here, and it's that thick at one end, and it's that thin at the other. And what we do is we place it there, and we place it. There you go. Right at the edge of the guitar, higher than the nut itself, just, and then what we can do is just take a piece of tape, hold it in place, and now when I come and file these frets and level them, when it's got past the last one, it's going to hit the ramp and go above the nut. It's not going to scrape into the nut, it's not going to knock the nut off, and it's not going to cause any damage. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover the pickups. I'm going to actually do the fret leveling with the neck on the guitar because the neck is straight and level. I'm just going to check it again. Check that I'm happy with it. A little bit of relief down this end here, but then we're straight at this end. I'm going to give this a 64th of a turn. It's the wrong one. Watch how much I'm going to turn this. Right, there you go. Let's get it right in, and we're in. I'm going to turn this just such a small amount. That's as much as I'm going to turn it. I've actually turned it back a little because that will move quite a bit. Right, okay. Okay, I'm calling that straight. Straight neck there. I'm going to actually keep the tape rolling. I'm not going to pause it, I'm not going to stop. I'm going to keep the tape rolling. The good thing about this is they are active pickups which are not as magnetic as passive pickups. What we're going to do is we're going to cover the pickups just so we don't get any dust or crap in there. You're seeing this basically, it's like a live video now. I find this is the easiest way to level frets is keep the guitar intact, don't need to brace it down. Cover everything. The guitar belongs to a guy who contacted me. He's obviously seen my work, me on YouTube or Facebook or whatever, and it's his son's guitar. Young lad, his name's Liam Cooper from up, I'm not sure where he's from, he's from Yorkshire, somewhere, Sheffield way, Rotherham way, not quite sure, could be Doncaster way. I wasn't paying attention, but it's certainly up from that area. Liam's very excited to see his guitar on video, and so I thought make it even better because his dad, he came down with his dad bought the guitar, his dad Glyn, and his dad Glyn says he'd really love it if you did a video of it. I says, well, I do a video of everything. So I've gone that little bit further, and I actually wanted to mention Liam by name. So Liam Cooper, this is your guitar, and we're going to get it absolutely fantastic for you. Now when it comes to stringing this guitar, Liam has gone for a really strange set of strings. In fact, he's gone for 2 sets of strings because he wants a hybrid set. He wants the set or the gauges that, what's his name? What signature guitar is this? I've totally slipped my mind. Jim Root. What the set Jim Root uses, he uses 2 sets mixed. So I've got to go and measure his strings. I've got to find out what they are, and I've got to unpack 2 packs of his strings and make a Jim Root setup. To do that, I'm not going to charge extra for that. I should charge another tenner because it's a pain in the butt, but we're not worried about things like that. So we're going to use a mixed set of strings. We're going to get the right gauge on there. I'll be recutting the nut, but first and foremost, we're going to get these frets right. So I don't have to take the fingerboard up before. I'm pretty good where we are. Just going to make sure one last time that this neck is straight. Is how I want it, because once I start leveling, there's no going back. Yep, happy with that. Oh, there's something else I just noticed. There's a ding on the far side of this neck. That's got more relief on the edge than it has at the sides. We ain't going to worry about that. Especially if this side's straight. Let's have a look where we are. That's where we're going to go. So I'm going to check the frets again, one more time. We do have a ding here. I wonder if I can show it. And I said I'm going to repair that. We're going to try and steam that out. See it there, just above my finger, right on this edge there. I said I'll have a go at steaming that out. It may disappear, it may not. I could even just put a damp bandage on there, put a bandage on it, let the damp sink in, leave it overnight, and some water in there could actually bring it back up. But anyway, I'm going to take a different colour pen. I'm going to take a blue one. I'm going to check these frets again. I'm going to check with 2 fret lockers because I have 2 brand new ones, both precision. I have a Stumac one as well, but the Stumac one is not, it's got one edge not quite right. They sent me out a replacement. I also have a Guitar Tools International one. If you're in America, buy one of these. If you're in Europe, buy one of these. GMI for Europe, Guitar Tools International for America. I'm going to stick with that GMI. Because it works for me. Remark these frets up. Actually, it'll pay for me to check all 3 areas of each fret. Tiny bit on that edge, tiny bit on that edge. I don't normally work in the quiet. I normally have some music on or something on in the background, but because I had a video, we took the monetization off it the other month because I had some worship music playing in the background. How ironic that I played some worship music and it's copyrighted. I am a Christian, so I'm not slagging it off, I'm just saying. Oh, very strange. And it means I can't make money off my video. It's a 2-hour video as well. Very high there. Okay. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We have 8 frets with high spots. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 high spots over 8 frets. Okay, so we are going to crack on. We're going to level them. What I'm going to do is I have a brand new file, never ever used on anything before, from Chris Allsop on eBay, luthier tool. It's a diamond fret file. When I bought this specifically because I'm doing a refret on a stainless steel. Well, I'm going to do a stainless steel refret later this week, and I'm going to need this to level the frets. So I'm going to use it for the very first time on this guitar, because I never have used it. I would like to glue a piece of wood on the back of it, but at the moment I'm just going to use it as it is. Okay, works pretty well, but what it does is it really roughs up the frets. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually swap over to another file, a file I think is actually better for the job. And this is my Gladon or Valorbe Swiss file. Swiss made by Valorbe. Another name on there, Gladon. It's got a fish on there, which is great. Swiss made, and this is a number 4 cut, so it is super smooth. I really looked out on this because it wasn't supposed to be a super flat file, but on one side it is actually precision flat, and that works a lot better, and it doesn't scratch the frets up nowhere near as much. And I really looked out on this one being so level because they're not sold as leveling files, but that is a much smoother cut. I'm sure this will come in very handy on stainless steel because it will cut better. I'm not going to use that because that is a fine grit. It's a 300 grit it's supposed to be, but it is still quite coarse, especially compared to this number 4 Swiss file. What a beautiful file this is. I've had it a couple of years now, and it's just got so many uses. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go across and level the frets with this. I will be finishing off with the leveling beam. But I like to get close with the file. And I'm getting no resistance now. That says normally that your frets are level. What I'm going to do is I've not even marked off the frets that needed doing. I'm going to wipe off all the pen off all of them because I'm going to level the whole board. And then I'll come back and I'll check the lot. And I'm getting no resistance now. That normally means that all the frets are level. I will be removing the neck later to get the crowning done and the polishing, make things a lot easier. So leveling is something I can do with the neck on the guitar. Okay, we should be pretty close. It was pretty good. I'll check the radius in a minute. I don't know what radius is on these. Would it be a 12 or a 14? I'm not into compound radiuses. I like a straight radius across the whole length. And if anything, I'd probably go with, I do like a 9.5 on my telly, but I think 12's a pretty good standard. Yeah, so I'm hoping this is a 12, because I've already got a 12-inch radius block sandpapered up with some 400 grit on there, which has been used very lightly this morning. And if I could use it on here, it'd be fantastic. Well, they are quite soft frets because I've levelled those already. They are absolutely fine. So let's check the radius. Quite into this doing a kind of live video thing, just keeping the tape running or keeping the camera running. What have I done with that tool? Okay, that's great. Then when you do that, you make mistakes like, well, you don't make mistakes, but you forget where you put tools. I'm not spending a lot of time looking for this tool, but it's definitely out somewhere. Let me just go back and check in this drawer again. Okay, it's not in the drawer, but I do have other tools which I'm going to have to use in this instance. Oh, it's not up there, look. Why is it up there? Maybe I should have gone online and checked what radius this is, but let's go for a 12. Seems pretty good. Seems pretty good. Okay, let's go for a 10. Not convinced it's a 12. It's not a 10. So it's going to have to be a 12. It's between the two. You always find this. Let me go and look online. Here we go. Bear with me, guys. Should have checked this earlier. YouTube, you can go off. Okay, Jim Root Telly. Jim Root Telly. Okay, Jim Root Telly radius. I'm going to keep the camera running. I'm not going to cut this out. Okay, 12-inch radius. Fantastic. You know what's really good about that is I have a perfect tool. 12-inch radius block with 400 grit paper, which I've only used this morning. I'm not going to need to go with the level. I'm going to cover all of the frets with pen. Okay, a few of these have had quite a bit of material removed because I've got flat spots. Lovely guitar. I'm really excited to get this back. Tuning's going for, I forgot what tuning's going for. Is it going for drop B? I will have to go and ask his dad again in a minute. Okay. I'm wondering if I can just drop that down. That's probably going to be a better idea. Let me just see if this neck cradle is going to work. Okay. Okay, what is going to work is get that left beam underneath. That's going to work pretty well. That's much better. We'll take a 12-inch radius block. We're going to stick this on there. And we're just going to check the radius. And that is all of the pen removed in 4 or 5 strokes. We now know the radius is, look at that, beautiful. We now know the radius is a perfect 12. We know that the frets are level. And there you go. And all I need to do now is clean up that fingerboard Going to remove the neck, clean up fingerboard, get it taped up, and we are going to go and crown and polish these frets. Where are we? Right there. Very, very good. One more check with the fret rocker. These should now be absolutely spot on. In fact, I know they're spot on. I'm going to bring the camera in when I do the crowning so you can see where we've flattened across the top of these frets. We've not removed a great amount of material. We've probably removed 0.1 of a millimetre or 1/10 of a millimetre, which is about, I don't know what it is, of an inch. .04 of an inch, seems about right. I don't know. But anyway, those frets are spot on. Got to give them a quick clean. Got to remove the neck. Got to tape up the whole fingerboard. We are going to recrown, then polish those frets. Cleaning fluid, naphtha. We don't get naphtha in England. The closest thing we get to naphtha is Zippo lighter fluid. Naphtha is readily available to buy in America. We also get naphtha. Clean your guitar neck or clean your guitar. But the closer we get to the Zippo lighter fluid, it is naphtha basically. What have we done with that cloth? Okay, that's just disappeared into thin air. No problem. Fingerboard is now clean. I'm going to remove the neck. I'm going to get this neck bolted to a piece. Oh, I don't have to bolt it to anything, but I think I will bolt it to a piece of MDF just so I can crown the frets easier. Give me something to work at. So we're using a surrogate body. I'll use the pins, the screws, and the back plate from the guitar itself. So give me 5 minutes. About 10 minutes, I'll get this all taped up. I'll show you the state of the frets now, and we'll get this done. With the frets level, we now need to crown them. The reason we've got to crown them is when we leveled them, we made the tops going this way flat, and we need to put that crown back in. And I used to do it with a 3-cornered file like this, and it's just a matter of going across and rolling the file over on the far side toward the camera, on the near side away from the camera, until we've got a nice line down the centre. And I'm going to do that just to show you how we used to do it. And I've always done it with this because it's the way I learned to do it. And it's a good way, it's fine, but it takes time. But look at that beautiful line down the centre. And that is beautifully crowned, and that is fine. And what I do then is I would finish off with what we call a crowning file, which has already got the groove in there. I'd use the right width, and this would remove any burrs and any unevenness in any areas where I went with the 3-corner crowning file. It still is a great way to do it. It doesn't take long. It's absolutely fantastic. And what we do is when we've done one, we check the height of the frets again just to make sure we've not removed any height. And we've not removed any height because we left that line down the centre. Well, I've just rubbed it off now with my finger. But there is a better way. And I've done away with this file because I've just went and bought a Stumac, what you call a Z file. And it's a diamond file. It's a really fine cut. But what this does is this will not file the top of the fret at all. And watch, it's fully automatic. 3 or 4 strokes. That's 3 that side. I forgot which side I've done now. Turn it over. And there you go. And that is done. and that has left a perfect line right down the centre. And I don't need to go with any other file, and this file does it for you. I don't have to arc it or anything, it's just watch. 1, 2, 3, turn it over, 1, 2, 3. How wonderful is that? And I will still go across with the crowning file. Not that there will be any burrs or anything, but look at that, it's amazing. Just 2 strokes, and that is those 2 frets. All 3 frets are now re-crowned. We always check afterwards just to make sure we're not removed. I know we're not removed any height because we can see the lines on top, but look at that. How much easier is it using that Z file? Now admittedly, the Z file by Stumac is not cheap. It did cost me £125, but it is a diamond file. I don't know how long it's going to last. If it lasts for 40 or 50 fret levels, I'm going to be quite happy with that. It says it should last for hundreds. But anyway, I just want to, can you see how flat the tops of these frets are? I'll just look. Let me just put the pen just on the flat bit at the top. The ear, for instance, it's about 2 mil. It's about 1.5 mil wide. So we need to get that crown back in. We've also put scratches in that way. What we're going to do is we're going to use different grits of sandpaper later to polish those out. We'll start with 600 grit, and we'll go up in grits, make the paper with finer each time up to 2000 grit, and we'll get rid of all these scratches, go in this way. That's, well, obviously that's polishing. It will not just bring them to a shine though, it will get rid of all the scratches. Anyway, let's crack on with these. I just like to go 3 times. Next to no time at all, another 4 done. So I'm going to crack on. I'm going to get all of these done. And then we're going to move over to the polishing table. How's that? So, I'll see you over there in a few minutes. Quick update before I lose the light. I'm just approaching my 12th hour in this workshop today, as I think I did 14 hours yesterday. Still playing catch up with the jobs I got behind on last month, well this month actually, month of October. I've cut through it. I am, after this one, I will be, well, 3/4 of the way through where I should be. Just want to give a quick update. I've already been through with 3 grits of sandpaper, polishing my frets. I've got 1, 2, 3 more to do. I've been through with 400, 600 and 800 so far, just up to 1000, and I'm just carrying on polishing these frets, and it's a really simple affair. First 2 or 3 grits I go over the top, then into the corners each side, but when I get to the grits like this I just go over the top, because the frets don't need polishing at the sides. We just need the tops polishing where I've levelled them. And I do tend to go with a much more coarse grit now. In fact, I went over with some 180 grit before I went over with a 400, just to remove the scratches that were this way. So they were gone on the first run. It just means when I get to these finer grits, when I start with the 600 and the 800, we are actually polishing and not just removing the scratches. So 4 more lots of paper to go. Once I've done the lots, gone through with all the grits of sandpaper, I will finish off using the Crimson Guitars rubbers, and these will be scratchless and they'll be super shiny by the time I'm done. I'm lagging behind on this because I had a client nip in this afternoon, a good friend of mine, Phil Kadoulis, with one of his guitars he needed looking at because he's got a gig next week, and he needed the tremolo altering on one of his strats. So we've done that, we've sat down, we've had a chat, we had a play about, and I've wasted about 2 hours. So where this should have been done now, I'm 2 hours behind. And will I get it done this evening? I doubt it, because I've got to be at church at 7:30, because I've got something on at church tonight. So lagging behind, I can't afford to be lagging behind. So I'm back on it now. I'm whizzing through these frets. but at least I should have these frets polished by the time I knock up tonight. It's just a matter of getting the neck back on, getting the strings on and setting the guitar up tomorrow morning in the first hour or so, and we'll get back on track. Other things coming up this week, I do have a refret to do and some neck work. I'll be refretting a standard Strat, 2005 standard Strat, but I'll also be removing the neck lacquer from the fingerboard, so that'll be an interesting one. So that's one I hope to start tomorrow. The fret wire came today. It'll be having Sinton's Elite fret wire I now use as standard, and I'm going to crack on with that tomorrow. But anyway, in the meantime, I'm going to carry on polishing these frets, and I'll come back and give you an update. Probably not tonight now, because I've got to get ready for church in a bit. So I'll see you again tomorrow morning. Okay, frets all done. Is that going to zoom in? No, it's not. Fair enough. Frets all done. They look wonderful, but I do have a problem area here. I pointed it out before. Next to my finger there, there's an indentation right there, and it comes to the side. There's a chip on the side. Nothing I can do about the chip, but I can certainly work on the indentation. And what I'm going to do is take a piece of this was you know what an ironing board is, don't you? We iron your clothes on an ironing board. I got some underlay for about a few years ago, and I got a fair bit left, and I cut some little pieces. I cut a little piece off that. The underlay's about 3 or 4 mil thick, and it's thick felt. And what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to soak this just in water, regular water. Not going to saturate it, just going to dampen it. And once it's damp, I'm going to place a wet bandage using Scotch 3M low tack tape, blah 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 blah. This gubbins here, and we're gonna, with that wet, I'm just gonna tape it over there, and I'm gonna seal it with the tape, put a bandage around there, and what's gonna happen is the water, or the moisture, is gonna soak into that wood, and it's gonna spring it back to its original position. It may not come 100% back, but it certainly will be better than it is right now. I've done this lots of times. If the worst comes to the worst, I could get some heat on there by means of a soldering iron and steam that back out. That will also work. But first I'm just going to go with a wet bandage approach, because I've used this very recently. In fact, I used it on, it's Wednesday today, I used it on Monday on a guitar that had a little indentation in the side of the neck, and now you would not ever know. But anyway, I'm going to go and dampen this. I'm dampening this, and I'll come back. Where a tea left? Got no tea. I can't dampen it with tea. I'll dampen it. I'll come back and I'll show you exactly how I'm going to do this. Back in a minute. So my little bandage trick kind of worked, but it did not make the indentation in the neck disappear. So I did what I normally do in these situations, and I filled it with some wood dust and super glue, and I sanded it back, and I'll show it to you now. And there you go, and it was this fret. You can still see the chip on the edge, which I'm not repairing there, but look, the indentation is completely gone. You would never know. So that is that done. Frets are finished, neck is back on the guitar, obviously, because you can see it. Just need to clean up this area where I had the tape around the pickups, and I can put the strings on and get this set up. So we're going to set this up in drop B. I assumed, or I thought from a conversation I had with Liam when he was here with his dad, that he'd put 2 sets of strings in the guitar case, and I was to go between the 2 sets and make up the Jim Root set. But I've gone in the guitar case and there's lots of strings here, and I would presume he's already split the strings, and they are the gauges he wants on the guitar, so it saves me having to do that. I'm just going to check and measure that these are basically an 1156 set. I do have the measurements for Slipknot, Jim Root or Jim Root Telly, and it tells me on here that I should be going with an 11, a 15, a 20 all plain, then a 36, a 42 and a 56 all wound, and that is the set that Jim Root uses. So I'm going to assume that that's correct information, and I'm going to put those strings on anyway. Then I'm going to set this up in drop B. You'll also notice I have restained the fingerboard, because when I sanded this down it's showing up a lot lighter, so I stained these first 3 frets and they all showed darker than the rest of them, so I've stained the lot I've used just Rustin's wood dye, ebony wood dye. Just gave them one coat, that's all we needed, and the neck looks fantastic. So I'm going to get the strings on, going to get the strings stretched, get it in tune, and then we're going to have a piddle about, we're going to play it, and we're going to have a look at the action, and we are going to give it a proper setup. And once that's done, this guitar will be ready to go. So I've dampened this, just to show I've dampened it. It's put a little line of water on there, and that's running off nice. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place that over where I need the dampness to get in. I'm going to take some tape, and I'm going to affix the tape over the wound like a bandage, so to speak. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to seal it in. Just so that moisture can stay where I want it to stay. And I'm going to leave this for maybe 4 hours. And that will soak into the wood in the wounded area right there. That's nice. We'll go with a little bit more, just create a nice seal in there. I've done this lots of times in the past. And I'm just going to seal that in there exactly where I need it. And now this area, only that area has not been double-sided down, so that is going to stick really, really well. The water, the moisture is going to concentrate in this area. It's going to soak in there, and it will puff that back out. It may bring it back perfectly level, I don't know. But when that's done, I'm going to give it, it is about 9:30 in the morning. So if I give this till about 12:30, 1 PM, I can check it, and if it's fine, I can get this back on the guitar, and we can have a look at cutting the nut. We'll get this guitar set up, and this will be done, ready to go out today. So in the meantime, I'm going to nip on to another project. I've actually got a refret to do today, so I'm going to nip onto that, and I'm going to prepare another guitar for a refret, blah 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 blah, and prep the frets and what have you. And time I've got it all prepped for the refret, this will be ready to come back to and have a look at. So make sure, like me, you do that. Setting up, I have the strings on. String gauges are, if my memory serves correctly, 11, 15, 20, 36, 42, 56. That could be a 32. I'm going to have to go and check. Okay, see if I can just go back. Yes, I can't go forwards. That's a shame. Let's just have a look. 11, 15, 20, 36, 42, 56. So that is the gauge of the strings. Now what I need to do before I set the action above the first fret, which I'm going to get as low as I can, I need to make sure that these slots are wide enough. I don't know what these nuts are cut for, but there's certainly, this slot is certainly not cut for a 56. I'd say that's probably, oh, I don't know, I've got no idea. Now I would like to use my Hosco files because they are my best ones, but I don't have the correct width of correct gauges. But in this set I do. The Uo Chikuo set, I think that's how you pronounce it. I have no idea. So disappointed in these. These cost me £100. They're supposed to be spot on. They went blunt after about 6 uses, but I will get enough out of them. I mean, some of these have not even been used. I contacted the seller I got them from on eBay, and he said contact the company. So no to do is. I thought, right, okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut these slots to width, not to depth, just width for now, just so the strings sit in there. And I think that is probably at the correct width, looking at that. What I don't want to do is, I don't want to be cutting any depth yet, and I certainly do not want to be cutting into frets, because I've just levelled and polished them. Okay, that seems to be cut to the correct width, and it is slightly cut in, so there you go. That is quite impressive, quite pleased with that. So the depth is right. I know that it's too much height on there. We're going to get these out of the way. I will use these to finish off once I've got the correct width on the slots. Why, mate? I may as well check the intonation. Not even registering, so I'm going to plug. I plug the lead, the guitar lead into the tuner. Pray for me, people. I think I'm coming down with a cold. My throat was sore this morning and it's still sore now. There's a cold going around at our church and I really could do without it. Regardless of whether I've got it or not, I'm going to still carry on working. Ooh, the intonation's good. It's spot on. I've not checked the height above the 12th fret yet. It's something I'm going to do shortly. So let's move on to the next string. So we're going B, F sharp, that's good. And what did we say that one is? A 42. I think we did. I have a 42. Just going to make sure it's wide enough. Let me just check with, I do have, I'm going to go with these as well. I do have a 46, so this is going to give me a better idea if I've got any depth in there. Going a little bit wider is not going to hurt anything. In fact, I use a 1046 set to cut the 942 slots. Okay, that's looking pretty good. These files are rubbish. I think they could well be fake. Let's get the string in anyway and see where we are. Looking for an F sharp, I believe. Liking that very much. Here we go. Drop B. Tune in. Have a look, and then at least I'll get. Here we go. B F sharp, B E G sharp, C sharp, B. That's what it should be, I think. No, it's not. Yeah, there you go. B, F sharp, B, E, G sharp, C sharp. That's right. Well, I've listed off. I've reeled off 7 strings here. Okay. 36. I do have a 36. I'm going to go with the 42 on this one. So I'm using a mixture of files. These so disappointing. Paid a lot of money for these. Cuts nothing. Look at it, crap. Don't want to use a 46. Let's go with a 36 and I'll flare it open. Oscar one's much better. I've had these for about 3-4 years and we're still cutting. Let's have a look at the 36 inside there. Well, the intonation's good, that's fantastic. Good news that. It means I've not got to set the intonation. I will, however, set the action at the 12th fret once I've just made sure that these fret slots are wide enough. So the next string we are looking at 20. Do I have a 20? I have a 24, it's close enough. I'm going to leave them out. What do I have on these? I have a 17, then a 26. 26 is too much. I will go with a 24. Like I say, I'm just widening these at the moment. I'm not cutting any depth. These files are crap. Not even cutting. So, guys, I'm going to do a video on these files. Uo Chikyu files, supposed to be made in Japan. These are fake. I'm going to talk to the eBay seller. I'm going to say, I think yours are fake, mate. You just told me to contact the company that makes them. I'm happy that the nut is not pinching the strings. Fretting note is short, so we need to move the saddle back. Well, I say back, we need to move it towards the strap pin on the body end. Very sharp, so I'll crack on with that. Let's try again. Perfect. This one's a 15, I have a 17. I'm not even going to bother with these files, they're just garbage. So I don't know if I'm going to get the money back, but at least if I contact the company they might send me a proper set. Or they might just tell me to get in touch with the eBay guy I bought them from. Which will be a laugh because right, this I think has disappeared. So using a 17 file where it should be a 15. Yeah, that's your tile-like sound. That means the nut slot is cut wrong. Just leave that open just a little. Got rid of that sitar sound just by cutting the knot properly, or the slot properly, I should say. Always just angle it slightly back towards the angle, the break angle over here. So what you do, you don't cut straight, you cut angled slightly back. G sharp. Slight sharp again. You should just slightly lengthen on this one. A couple of turns should be good enough. Perfect. Again, that sitar sound again. I'm just gonna cut that slot. That is an 11. I'm going to use a 10. Not going to use these. I'll use Hosco 1, Hosco 10. We're just going to slightly angle this back and we're going to flare it open. Flare it open. I'm just going to go at an angle just so I know that slot's wide enough. Like I say, I'm just cutting the width at the moment. There you go, it's a lot better. That's it, so we have the fret slots cut wide enough. We have intonation done at the bridge. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to unplug the tuner just for now. I'm going to check the height above the 12th fret. Because we're playing in such a low tuning, drop B, which is basically a C sharp standard, we're going to get a lot more vibration, so I'm going to have a slightly higher action. I'm going to be looking at about 1.6 at this side. That's the height from the top of the fret to the bottom of the string. 1.6 millimeters this side, about 1.85, 1.9 millimeters this side. I will try and convert that to non-metric or to imperial by, I'm going to actually bring out, I've got a brand new Stumac string action gauge which I bought last week. I've not used it yet, but I will tell you the measurements I'm looking for on this one. So if I'm looking at 1.85ish, we're looking at 0.07 in, is it in inches, I believe? So I'm going to look for that kind of action, probably even look for something around about 2 millimeters. I will give the millimeter readings first, just make sure you tie up. About 2 millimeters is 0.8, so I'm looking at about 0.075 would be good. And that's just about where we are. We're just over 0.07. Let's check that in millimeters. Okay, 1.5. That is pretty good. I like that action. Let's check this side. This may come already well set up, which means it didn't need that much work from me. I'm still charging for it, mind. Okay, and that again is 1.5, which in old money, well, would you believe it? And that is basically 0.06. That looks pretty good, 0.06 on the old Imperial on the Stumac. They look pretty good. So what I need to do now is check the radius. Do I have my radius gauges in that? I don't look like it. So I'm happy with the action at the 12th fret. I've not checked for relief yet. I imagine it's going to have some relief in there. Radius gauges. Would I be right in thinking this is going to be a 12 all the way down? Did I already measure that? I don't know. I think I did, you know. It's a 12-inch radius, isn't it? 12-inch radius all the way. So let's go under the strings this end and check the radius. And I'll tell you what, that is pretty much set. The A string is a little bit high. You need to just drop that A string. I'll tell you what, whoever had this guitar before Liam had it, or whoever set this up, knows exactly what they're doing, because that is set up right and that is pleasing. That basically cuts down how much work I have to do on this guitar. Still going to be 100 quid, mind. So I'll be looking at a 1/16th, no 1/20th Allen key. These being, as it's, is it American? It's not one, it's the right one. Let's check again. Yep, happy with that. Okay, so we now have the radius set on the saddles, we have the intonation set, we have the action where I want it above the 12th fret. Just need to check that I have the amount of relief I would like. I will be looking for an amount of relief in the 9th fret about 0.25 millimeters, like a little bit more relief in a drop tuning neck. That looks to be about 0.2 millimeters. If it is, we're going to leave it, we're going to see how it goes. Because it's not an exact science. So let's go with 0.2. That's beautiful. Let's try 0.25. If this is 0.25, this is spot on. It's exactly where I would like it. I could possibly go to 0.3. So we're listening for a scrape under fret 9. And it's just rocking, look. That is perfect. So this guitar was set up well anyway. But now it's even better because the frets have been levelled. This guitar should need no more work in the next, I don't know how many years, number of years. So let's recap what we've done. We know we've done the frets. recap what we've done just now. We have set the radius on the saddles. We've also done the intonation. We've checked the height above of the strings above the 12th fret. We've cut the nut slots to the correct width, not to the correct depth. And what we're going to do now is, because everything else is set up and we have the amount of relief we want, we can now cut the nut slots. Now, because we are in a drop tuning, and the strings are going to vibrate that little bit more because we're going to be hitting them heavier, but a fatter string as well, we are going to go slightly higher than I normally would on these. So this side I'm going to be looking for 0.35, 0.4 millimeters gap between the top and fret and the bottom of the string. This side I'm probably going to go with something like 0.25. So get all of these out of the way for now, because we can't work in mess. Just out of the way, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to check with a feeler gauge. I'm going to see the height of the strings above the first fret. This again is not an exact science, this is kind of my preference. It's what works for me. You could go lower than I do, but here you go. 0.4, let's try 0.3. Just buzzing on 0.4, quite happy with that as it is. 0.3 could be pretty good. That's very good. No buzz there, so we need the third, fourth string to just drop a little. I do believe that is a 36, so we're going to take the 36 Hosco file and we're just going to cut into this slot, make it a little bit deeper. We're not going to go mental. So exactly what I'm looking for, that little bit of buzz. So on the next one I'm going to be going 0.25 across these three. If I'm getting a tiny bit of buzz on this 0.25, it'll be fine. I'm not, so let's go with a 0.3. That is too high, we're going to come lower. 0.3, I want a good buzz on a 0.3. Get no buzz at all. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the 17. It needs to be 20, so I'm going to take the 17 and I'm going to flare it open. Now I know this Hosco file is very sharp. Now let me explain these Hosco files. It's a 1046 set. So on each file you have two measurements, and that's a 1746 or strings 3 and 6. That's a 1026, so that's strings 1 and 4, and that's a 3613, so that's strings 3 and 5. I want a 20 there. I don't have a 20. I do have a 26, which is too much. I do have but I have a 17. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the 17. I'm going to cut the depth with the 17, and I'm going to flare, just slightly angle. And that'll make up for the less amount because I need a 20. And we're just going to check this. Slightly ringing again, that slight sitar sound. So I've cut that uneven, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my time, just open it up, nice and smooth, listen again, beautiful, nice clean note, and then we're going to check the depth. If I get a good ring on a 0.3, it's still not ringing, still not buzzing, so we've not gone deep enough. We're going to keep going. It's not a case of measure twice, cut once with a guitar. It's measure 7 times and cut 7 times. Take your time. Just buzzing, that's what I want. It's exactly what I want. I'm just going to clean up. Not even pressing now, just very, very lightly, just flare it. Just clean it up, just make sure I've got enough width there. Removing nothing. We want that note to ring nice. Feeler gauge, 0.3, should be buzzing a lot now. Beautiful. 0.25, should just be buzzing. You get a knack for this when you've been doing it as long as I have. Just buzzing. There you go. Next one, B string. Not buzzing at all. This is a 15, so we're just going to go with the 17 again. We're not going to flare it this time. We're just going to cut straight with the 17, because these do cut a U shape. We don't cut a V. And we'll just be nice and steady. That being a 17, it'd be perfect for a 15 string. But no, it's cut because the note's gone flat. So 0.25 will be good. Not quite there yet, a little bit more. Are you learning anything, guys? Hope you are. Hardly buzzing still need a little bit more. See what I mean about it? Just keep measuring and keep cutting. Don't rush this. You rush it, you're going to cut too deep, you're going to have to take the nut out and replace it. It's going to take you another hour and it's going to cost you 15 quid plus the hour you've lost. That's 40 quid's worth. 40, 45 quid, depends what you charge an hour. My working rate's £35 an hour if I'm doing an hour job. That's perfect. Nice clean note. And the last one, too high by quite a bit, so I'm going to take the 10. This is an 11, so I'm going to take the 10. Make sure, yeah, very good. Just going to flare it slightly. I actually went a little bit gung-ho there. Sometimes it feels gung-ho, it's not, it's probably not. See, I've not even cut anything out, look. You know, I take it I'm being really patient with this, is I have cut nuts too deep, and it's a pain to have to recut a new one and put a new one in there. It costs you money. So I tend to undercut now. And there we are, boys and girls, and that is the nut cut. Now the nut's cut, the setup is finished. So all I need to do now is, again, I need to stretch those strings right in, which I'm going to do. Keep stretching them, tuning, stretching, tuning. Probably 2 or 3 times, and once that's done, the guitar is set up for drop B playing. I know this is going to sound fantastic. I'm going to set up my amp with some pedals. I'll be using a super over distorted metal pedal, and my weapon of choice on that is an MXR full bore metal, which I'll be using. I'll be dropping the gain on that, boosting it with a Keeley modded Boss SD1 overdrive, and it will sound awesome. I'll be using the Keeley modded SD1 as a clean boost, and it just will give me masses and masses of sustain. So very happy with how this project's gone. The guitar looks great. I'm proud of filling in that slot there. You cannot see that big ding we had in there, completely gone. You cannot see it at all. So I've done my job there. And that's it. All that remains to be done now is to stretch these strings in and give it a test. So I'll just remind you, when you're tuning the guitar in, tune it in, final tuning in playing position. And I'm going to show you something. This guitar is laid down flat. And I'm tuning it in. And now watch when I put it in playing position. C sharp's good. G sharp's good. E's a little bit flat. These are all spot on. Normally you're flat. Doesn't hurt to check everything in playing position. That is going to sound awesome when I've got it plugged in. So what am I going to do now? I'm going to go and plug it in and I'm going to have a little play about. You are not going to get to hear that because I always give the playing privilege to the owner of the guitar. Oh guys, what can I tell you? If there's a guitar built for heavy playing and metal, this is it. I've had it plugged in and it was very hard to plug it out, if you know what I mean. It's in drop B. I've been having a good play on it. It sounds wonderful. So let's recap what we have done with this. It came in needing a setup, a check-up, a big dent on the neck or on the fingerboard fixing, and it needed a complete fret level. So I concentrated on the fret level, having all my new tools. I've upgraded my tools a lot over the last month. Everyone knows why. I had a tool failure last month. It cost me 3 weeks' work. I had to redo two refrets and a fret level, but I am completely back on track. I'm just about caught up with that 3 week backlog of work, and this was one of the backlog. And what a beautiful guitar to work on. So recapping again, it has had a complete fret level, recrown and polish. I have set it up, I've recut the nut, and I have repaired a dent that was on this side, it was bottom side of the neck between frets 2 and 3. You cannot see where I've repaired it. First I steamed it, but steamed it only half worked. It didn't completely fix the problem, so I did what I normally do, and I filled it with some rosewood dust and super glue, sanded it flat, and I've also re-stained the fingerboard, so that's all now uniform and nice. Did the setup, done the intonation, set the action, recut the nut, and that's it. And what a lovely guitar. I love these guitars. It's not quite as good as my Edwards Explorer with the Seymour Duncan blackouts in, but sounds amazing. I think the AMG active pickups are a little bit darker than the Seymour Duncan ones. I like a little bit of a brighter sound, even though I drop tune. This is drop tune to drop B, sounds good. Again, my preference, drop A sharp or drop B flat is my preference, just a little bit lower. The strings on there are 1156 hybrid set that Jim Root uses himself. It's all tuned in, it's just got a volume on there, doesn't need a tone, and it sounds great, it plays great. Very hard guitar to put down, but as time is short and I'm still playing catch up, I'm wrapping up this project, so this one is finished. Liam will be over the moon, he's coming to pick it up on Friday, and so I'm going to stick it back in its box, try not to play it, and move on to the next project, which I've already got lined up. So without further ado, I'll remind you of my website, facebook.com/ng17. That's facebook.com/NGONESEVEN. My name is Victor, I'm your fret friend, and until the next time, God bless you, be good to each other, and I'll see you soon.